I'll tell you about this Oscar Hughes that was over in Kopek, over just about 3 miles beyond Kopek. He worked a pair of horses in a farm, and he kept 27 cows. And I wondered why he had a good farm, why he didn't branch out like the other two farms that is near him, one with 150 cows and one with 100. And but they had 4 or 5 nice tractors sitting around, and Oscar doing his work with a team of horses. And when Oscar come to die, then I finds out why he kept the team of horses. He had a mortgage on both of those farms that he made with his horses. It was that simple. Good morning, good morning.
Nice morning this morning.
Beautiful.
Right, I got the horses all ready.
You got the horses already?
Yeah.
Well, you can bring one out and I'll start it. Yeah, they are. They've been riding her.
We've been riding her a little bit, but trying to put feet on her again.
Yeah, it's time to put them on.
She'll have a lot of riding this summer.
Good. That's what she needs.
Should I tie her up here to the fence, or?
I guess right to that post probably be the best.
Back, girl. How's everything?
Fine, fine.
I suppose you're awful busy now.
Well, it's starting up. Hi. Hi.
Clarence, I think I'll go and leave you now, and I'll see you later.
All right.
I think you can get along all right without me.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
My name's Clarence Martin, and I've been shoeing horses for 62 years. I shod horses in the First World War. I started when I was 18 years old, and the reason why I started was because I had a horse that would kick and the blacksmiths wouldn't shoe her. So I put the shoes on. I had the blacksmith make the shoes and I put them on. I have been at it more or less ever since. shoes. Horses, as a rule, wear their shoes 2 months. It shouldn't be left on longer than that. They should be pulled off and trimmed if they're not going to be used. They shouldn't be left on to grow out and grow into the foot. And the Indians shod them in this country with rawhide, wrapped rawhide on their feet when they was going in the rough places with the horses. That's the way they shod them. And eventually the Indians got the shoes and shod their own horses. They approach it to the horse counts a lot. The first thing is to get a little bit acquainted with your horse, to know what kind of a horse he is, and look his head over. Now, you look at a horse's head, and if there's a bump way up high on that head, be real careful, because he's going to be real stubborn, and he'll be contrary. He won't let you have his foot when you go to pick it up. And when you get it, he'll continually keep moving it. He can be trained after a while, but it takes a long time. Another horse with a flat head, he may be a nervous type, and you go around him real easy. And then you run across the type that if you go real easy, they'll think you're afraid of them and haul right off and kick you. But them you've got to get after a little bit, wake them up a little bit, show them that who's boss. You never want to stand and look a horse in the eye. If you look a horse in the eye, you'll upset him. Some of them you'll make them almost crazy. You pat them and work down and do considerable patting on the legs as they're going down. You have to figure it out as you're going along, the reactions that you get from it. They have to kind of study the foot, though, to know the sensitive parts and the part that's not sensitive. And there's a line around the horse's foot that's called the white line. And all your nails have to come not inside of the white line, not towards the middle of the foot. They have to come just on the outer edge of it. And then they'll catch the wall that's strong and no nerve in it. And if you get a nail in too far, you'll promptly lamed your horse. And you'll know it right away. But most anybody, if they'll study and look over a horse's foot carefully, can make a shoe that'll be comfortable on the horse. Yeah, we're all done.
Whoop. Boy, that's a nice looking job. How
Well,
much do I owe
thank you. $14. When I was 10, we moved to another part of the town, right close to a schoolhouse, and I got in a couple of years of schooling. And then I went to work, building the fires to the schoolhouse. And we got 5 cents a day for building the fires, which was a lot of money for a 10-year-old horn then. Then when I was 13, I left school and went driving team. I drove team from Monterey to Great Barrington and back. And then at 18, I went to working out by the day, and I bought a horse to drive back and forth to work. The kicking horse that started me shoeing horses. I went in the Army in the First World War in 1917. I was in the ranks for 6 weeks, and then they put me in the blacksmith shop, and I started in, shod horses, done the floor work for 1 day, and then they told me I had to learn the forge work, and I was there 6 weeks, and they gave me the examination and transferred me and gave me an outfit of my own. I was awful busy, and we was traveling days all the time, and at night I'd build 2 bonfires, one each side of the horse, and that's the light I had. I shod most all night, and maybe ride a mule the next day, or maybe ride a wagon, whatever there was for transportation. And I liked the mule the best, because I could go to sleep on the mule, and he'd keep right up with the outfit. And I was discharged in 1918. And then I come out and I done quite a lot of blacksmith work. And I was married in 1927 and have 3 children. 11 grandchildren. During the Depression, farmers didn't have any money, but we bartered then. You needed some money because I was paying for my place then, and for years all I could pay was the interest. And then when the times changed, I paid it right off. But there's years that all I could pay was the interest. Been lucky to get that.
I cooked those eggs too much.
Well, we plan to go over and reset the shoes on their horse, and we plan to probably whip train that horse.
Whose horse?
Mrs. Dufault's.
Where did they come from?
Dr. Stevens had it. She's the one that come here, you know, that'll chase him out the lot. She won't chase you if you won't run. And I believe they give $800 for that horse. And Dennis will be here for the quake. Well, I'm going to horses now.
Man, down here.
When World War II started, I had just enough horseshoeing to bother me with the other work that I was doing. I announced that I was quitting in 1942, and the rest of the blacksmiths commenced to go in the factories, and I didn't. And they'd call me, and I'd tell them, well, I'll go and show them again. Well, I went and shot them again, and then there's others would be calling me, and first thing I knew, I was back in business. Horseshoeing's improved every year since. When I got to be 50, I was just as good as any of the young men. And I didn't notice that I was slowing up any until I was 58. And then I found out that I could still outdo most of the young men, but if I got a real good young man, he could do better than I could. and I've slowed down ever since. In fact, now I'm quite slow. And I'm 80 now. Will be 81 in November. morning, good morning. You can go ahead. Okay. It's 62 years this month since I started to shoe horses. 62 years. And I'm still interested in it. And am more interested in teaching the young ones now than I am in the shoeing. I don't care anything at all about any profit from it at all. If I can just keep even, that's all I want. And as long as I'm teaching somebody. I really like to teach the young ones. You see me turn the heels on these?
No,
Well, stick them in the fire and make the heel first. Make your crease. All right, now turn it. Now tip them up and try them. Right over. Right over. There! Now how are the first?
oh, I did that one a little
A little shorter. All right, draw it again right there on the corner. Okay, turn it. There, now you're doing business. Now you wrap your shoe under. Now drive it down. It doesn't matter. With light blows. Still short. Hey, draw it this way. Turn it. Turn your shoe. Turn your shoe. Turn your shoe. Grab hold over here. Grab hold over there. Grab hold over there. Now put her on there and draw it. There! There! Now you'll get it. When you're handling her, you definitely want to be the boss. If you don't, she will. She won't let you shoe her unless you let her know that you're going to be the boss.
She the one that'll come after you?
She's the one that'll come after you in the line. If you run. If you run, you make her real happy. If you don't run, she won't do anything. If a horse is man-shy, the only thing that I know that'll cure the man-shyness is whip training. That'll do it quickly. Most people think when you speak about whip training a horse that you have to do a lot of whipping. But that is not so. And the more nervous and the more high-strung the horse is, the less you have to touch him with the whip. You put a horse in a pen about 25 or 30 feet square and a whip 10, 12 feet long, so that you can almost stand in the middle and touch the horse anywheres. And the first thing the horse will do, you switch your whip, and the first thing he'll do is run to a corner and turn his heels towards you. Well, when he does, you just tap him on the heels a little bit, and on the hind end of him a little bit, and keep at it until he turns. You turn away from that. If he tries to kick at you, you keep switching him. But if he don't, and you turn away from that, when he does, you approach him and pet him, the head end. If he stays there, if he turns away, again you start right in again. He turns by and by and he stays that way. Then you back away from him a little bit, but your whip's right out there, sight of him all the time. When you back away from him, you tell him to come here, and you touch him with that whip on the hind end, and he'll take a step or two, and you pet him for it. And the next time he'll take 3, 4. And if he's a smart horse, the next time he'll follow you all around that pen anywheres. And if he wheels away from you, the only time you use your whip is when he wheels away from you. Then you switch him for it. Good, if you can. And he'll turn and come to you. And you have to whip train both sides, both eyes. Because what a horse sees with one eye is not conveyed to the other eye through the brain. He's never seen it before. You've got to train 2 when you train 1. And the second sight is the hardest to train because he's continually trying to get his trained eye on you. And if he gets his trained eye on you, your training don't affect the other eye at all. And once he's whip trained, if a horse is mean to shoe, You whip train him, he's no longer means shoe. Because you can pick up all of his feet as long as that whip lays there. Hope. Come here. Hope. Hope. Come here. Hope. Dennis, you want to try this? Now, she don't turn good up there on that end. So catch that and then switch her. Okay, when you get up that end. Now you talk right up to her. And when you stop her, come right across here with that whip. Okay? Whoa. And harder if she needs it. Come here. Steady. Okay? Stick that whip right in front of her and make her steady down. Come here. When I first took my first apprentice, I was 64 years old. And the very first one I didn't do too well with. He only stayed 2 or 3 weeks, and he went away and thought he could shoe. He took a lot of my tools, and I said, well, I'll never bother with another one. He took probably $50 worth of tools. I got most of them back eventually. But I said I'd never take another one. And then I was up shoeing a pony up in South Egremont, and it was a reporter for a newspaper that come along. He was talking to me and watching me shoe, and he asked me, would I take an apprentice? And I told him no, I guess not. But he went on and described him to me and told me what a good fellow he was and everything. Well, I said, anybody like that comes along, I'll do everything I can to help him. And come up in March. Got there St. Patrick's Day. And because I told him, I said, now when the work comes on, I couldn't bother with you. You've got to be there before the work starts so I can teach you something. So he come up and he stayed 6 months and he made a good man. That's Les Alsop. I don't care anything about horseshoeing anymore, but I have to do something to use up my time, and I don't make anything at it. In fact, sometimes I'm out money, but I don't care too much about that either, because I'm not going to take the money with me. There wouldn't be too many horseshoers right around here that I didn't start. Very few. About 15 that I started. And I got a young one now, and his mother's name was Martin. So when I found that out, I told him, well, I guess he'd make a shoer. And the first thing they got to learn is to handle the horse, which is, I guess, the most difficult. And there's quite a little knack in handling horses. In fact, I've been called in one story a wizard handling horses. I told him I'd been called most everything, but that was the first time I'd ever been called a wizard. Anybody that can handle horses can get along on a farm just as well as they can with a lot of machinery. You take a young team of horses and they're good for about 20 years of work. And a tractor, the last 5 years, is doing well. And the tractor costs a lot more. And the upkeep of the tractor is a lot more. And your horse lives on your surplus stuff that you raise on the farm. And you can raise your own replacements. Raise your own replacements. The thing I'd like to leave behind is a whole lot of good horseshoers.
Pretty soon they'll understand the easy-going movements of your ways. Let a young man take his turn, pass along what you have learned. That's the only way that learning stays. With the passing of the years, even iron will corrode.
If a man with the tread of a pioneer steps out on your path ahead, grudge not his start with an envious heart, but catch up if you can with the forward man, for in this world of ours with its thorns and flowers, there's room enough for us all.